Hi, I am Wajeeha and welcome back to Making Sense of Macroeconomics. I have Raghav and Chavi with me, and in today's episode, we are going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes, which is that all savings turn into investment. When we are first introduced to the idea of banks, we think about it as an institute that connects the savers and the investors. So we say that people who have excess money put it there and then it is lent to people who want more money. But it is not as simple as that because this assumption leads to some very misleading conclusions, especially the idea that all savings will just automatically turn into investment. Because in reality, savings turning into investment will depend on expectations, uncertainty, and confidence, not just simple accounting identities. To understand this, it helps to think about how human beings actually behave. From an evolutionary standpoint, humans have always prepared for uncertainty, stocking food, holding water, building buffers. This instinct to prepare for disaster is deeply built into us. Even today, modern financial markets revolve around this same instinct. Risk is everywhere in finance. And despite years of research, we still do not have a clear, complete model of how humans respond to it.
So, when we save, we are not just maximizing our utility, our pleasure, but we save because of what has happened in the past and because of what we fear or hope will happen in the future. In other words, we save because of certain expectations. Keynes captured this with his idea of what he called animal spirits. It sounds poetic, but its meaning is that animal spirits are our collective feelings about the future. They're an ambiguous mix of uncertainty, intuition, mood, and sentiment. When these feelings are strong and positive, investment rises. When they are weak or pessimistic, investment stalls. It's like in finance markets, we talk about bear and bull, right? And these are the sort of emotions that we're talking about. How do you encapsulate bear and bull in some sort of research model? These are some sentiments. So we can return to the pizza analogy we used earlier because we all love pizza clearly. But this time we can think of it in the setup of a stock market. Think of a pizza company listed on the stock exchange, right? And one day, imagine you wake up and convince yourself that pizza is done for. There's no market for pizza anymore. Maybe people will stop eating pizza and move to tacos. Maybe we should do that. Unlikely, but in a hypothetical setup, if investors feel this way, the shares of pizza companies fall.
So, we can extend that logic to the broader market as well. If investors become cautious, even a little, this caution spreads and investment slows down, business confidence falls, and this is not because of purely rational forecasting, but it is because expectations shift. So even like we can think of like a rumor that spreads, and then in that way everybody starts believing that that is the truth. So it can be like a self-fulfilling prophecy also.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is one of the fundamental confusions in macroeconomics: savings and investment. Somehow, it is thought as if savings and investment are one and the same. Whatever is being saved in the banks, as you said, Vajiga, is converted or automatically gone into investment. Investors will pick up that savings, which is not true. This confusion needs to be clarified a little bit. Let's try to unpack this confusion. Now, act of saving is what? Act of saving is that not consuming today. Suppose you say that I'm not going to have dinner tonight. What you'll do is you'll save, let's say, 100 rupees or 500 rupees tonight by not having dinner tonight. But if you say, okay, I'm going to save tonight, I'm not going to have dinner tonight, but that saving, I'm going to use it on Saturday for a party that I have, then whatever you save today, that means you have taken money out of the economy, so you have reduced employment. But that employment is given back on Saturday, right? Because you're having that 100 rupees worth of, party that you're going to do, 500 rupees worth of party. So you're going to give employment on Saturday. So here, savings actually leads to employment or investment on Saturday. So what you save today on Thursday leads to investment on Saturday. Fine. But people don't save on these lines. Some people will say, I'm going to save open-ended, right? I'm just not going to use it now. I don't know when I'll use it. I'll use it whenever, before my death probably. I'm just saving for my retirement. I don't know when that will happen. So I'll save it for 85 or 90 if I live 85 or 90. Good luck to you if I live 85, 90. So people might save in an open-ended fashion, right? That's one aspect of it. So in this case, when they save in an open-ended fashion, savings is not automatically converted into investment. Secondly, what determines investment? As you said, Chavi, animal spirits. Investment, any firm wants to invest, only look at what is the prospective return, rate of return that I'm going to get, because future is uncertain. They don't know how much they're going to earn by setting up pizza or consultancy or whatever, because it's driven by demand. You have no idea of what determines how much rate of return or rate of profit you're going to get. Now, investment is also borrowing, right? Cost of borrowing plays a role in investment, but mainly it is the rate of profit. Now, determinants of investment and what determines savings, these are two different things. They're not the same, one and the same, because rate of return also determines savings, but it's a rate of interest, how much interest that you get in your bank deposit. That's what determines your savings. Whereas investment is determined by rate of profit, which is driven by demand in the system. So these two are totally independent of each other. So they cannot be one and the same, or whatever is the amount of money that is saved in the banks automatically will go to investment is totally a false inference that one is making, because investment depends on rate of profit and rate of profit depends on the demand in the economy. So this is a fundamental confusion people have while teaching macroeconomics or thinking about macroeconomics, and this is what Keynes, John Maynard Keynes, is one of the fundamental contribution in clarifying this issue.
So, when we talk about savings causing investment, we are missing the entire plot.
Exactly.
Savings do not get magically transformed into factories and machines. Savers are often not the same people who invest. Investors invest when they feel confident, secure, and optimistic that they would get the desired rate of profit that they and that they depend based on the kind of demand that they expect in the market. So I guess that makes sense that why expectations matter so much in macroeconomics.
That's quite fundamental. Now, the expectation, expected return that you get on investment, which is totally dependent on demand in the economy. So it's actually the other way around again. Instead of like earlier episodes, we saw supply creates its own demand was turned around. It's demand that determines supply. Here, investment determines savings, not the other way around. Because how do you save? Where do you save? From your income. Where do you get your income? Your income from employment. Where do you get your employment? Somebody is investing and hiring you as an employee. That's how. So investment creates saving. It's the other way around that we're talking about, not the savings create investment. This is one of the fundamental confusions people have in macroeconomics, whether in classrooms or in public discourses, policy discourses. They have this confusion. Oh, we save more, so we'll grow more, which doesn't happen because you need demand for your growth, not just savings in the bank, right? I think this is a very interesting question that you asked. I think there's a second causation reverse now today. Earlier we reversed, supply creates its own demand, causation is reversed. We now understand demand creates its own supply. Here today we are talking about investment creates its own savings, not the other way around. And that is a very, very important conclusion for making sense of macroeconomics from this perspective.
On the side note, so if I'm late to your morning class, can I say that I was contributing to India's employment rather than saying I was partying?
Wow, that's a good way of putting it. Depending on how much you're spending and creating demand in the economy, I would rather you have create demand rather than sitting in my class listening to supply create its own demand.
A true blue macroeconomist.
Thank you. So it is great talking to you. And
Okay, so far we have covered the demand, supply, saving, investment. So I think it makes sense to move on to understanding money.
yeah, that's the next fundamental, or the fourth pillar, as I would say, of demand side economics, of the role of money. What is the role of money?
Yeah, and why does it make the world go around?
Oh yeah, money makes world go around. That's right. No, we'll talk about it in the next episode. For now, let's take a break and go back to our Darshini cafe
Or you can throw a party.
party on this. So thank you, Chavi and Wajeeha.
Thank you.